Good morning, everyone. Welcome to BYJU'S Exam Prep. My name is Alpa Sharma and this is our daily editorial analysis. How are you guys today? Very good morning, Priya. I am so glad to read your message. That made my day. Messages like these, they pay off all the hard work that I put in to make these classes. Fresh new classes every morning. Good morning, everybody else. I hope I'm clearly audible and visible in the app as well as on YouTube. I'm very, very good. I'm even better after reading your message, Priya. Hi, everyone. I hope I'm clearly visible and audible. Could you quickly confirm that? Yeah, it's clear. So I have done something I usually don't do, and that is I've taken one article I otherwise would have missed out on. Can you guess what is that I usually don't do, which I might have done today? Let me see if you can guess. I'm sure a lot of you can guess. All those people who've been watching me live every day, you will know what have I done today, which I usually do not do. I refrain from doing that. Could you guess it? Yes, Purva. Correct. So it's not really political. Okay. No. A questions though. Okay. It's a political one. Yes, it's a political one. But I've taken it only because we will try to avoid the politics that's associated with it. We are going to be discussing the legal implication associated with that. Okay. So we will not look at the political implication. We don't know who is at the center, who is running the state. We don't know that. We don't know the name of the party. We will look at the the legal implication of that. Okay, that's what we're going to be doing today. So I've got only one article today because it's a very long one and I could not trim it. So that's only one article today. Lots of vocabulary from that. We'll try to memorize that. In the end, you're going to tell me the tone. Tone thoda sa difficult ho sakta hai. Okay, people may be deviated from the tone. So be very careful with the tone today. बहुत सारे लोग गलत कर सकते हैं. And we will look at the summary in the end. Plus, we'll look at important articles that have appeared today in various editorials, various newspapers, various blogs, and we'll look at them and we'll try to identify which are important ones, which we need to read today with a lot of fruit pictures around. I'm sure they're going to happen. Okay. Yeah. Yes, Violet. That's what I've taken. Exactly. That is the article that I've taken. Ragini, I can't do that in the app. You'll have to check it out from the YouTube channel. Okay. Okay. I'll ask the video team. Video team, could you please post the link of the last CLAT Ignite in the Telegram group, the common group, so that people can have an access to that? Okay. I'm absolutely fine, Tharvi. I hope you're really good too. All right, guys. So vocabulary start kare. Okay. Here we go with the vocabulary of the articles that I have. The first slide, docket. Now, you guys know what article I'm going to take. Okay. So obviously, docket is one important word that rather becomes the most important word of the class today. So docket is the list of cases that have been pending. Okay. That entire set of cases that have been pending in the court for a hearing or a trial. Is a docket. So one new case from the docket of Florida. We'll talk about from the docket of India. ठीक है. Legal implication पढ़ेंगे. थोड़ा कोशिश करूंगी जितना मेरा GK है उतना मैं legal implication आपको बता सकूं. I of course would not be tell you the legal implication as well as Abhimanyu or Nivedita or Shurojit would, but I'll still try to explain that from a person who reads newspapers a lot. Okay, so that's what docket is. Slide number 2, impunity. Again, impunity is an exemption from punishment. It's like immunity only, where you are safe from diseases, your body can fight. So impunity is an exemption from punishment. You will not be punished. We can say our president is impune till the time he's in power. Yes? So impunity is you cannot be punished. Yes, a docket pending of pending constitutional cases. Florida against Disney, for that matter of fact. Yes, Shweta. I'm sure you've read that article, all of you, from the Guardian. Yes, that article appeared in the Guardian. If you haven't read the article about Florida against Disney, please read that article. I think you will love that article. Okay. Ma'am, my hard work will only become worth when I get ranked. That's a misconception. Shreya, that's a misconception. I think I'll have to address this here. I'll explain docket once again, but listen to this. Rank आना नहीं आना, of course आपकी हार्ड वर्क पे डिपेंडेंट होता है, बट उस डी डे पे क्या होता है आपके साथ, उन चीजों पे भी डिपेंडेंट होता है. आपका काम है मेहनत करना, आपका काम है हार्डवर्क करना. रेस्ट आप लक पे छोड़ोगे ऑन दैट डे. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, गॉड फॉरबिड, मेरी तबियत खराब हो जाती है. आई हैव अ मैसिव हेडेक दैट आई कांट कॉन्सेंट्रेट. I told you in one of my CAT examinations I was pregnant and I was so hungry because I had to leave my home at 6 in the morning. I could not eat anything throughout the exam. I could not concentrate. अब उस पे तो आपका कंट्रोल नहीं है ना कि आपको भूख लग रही है and then there's a child inside you who wants to eat something. So ये अब that was one of my worst CATs. Considering the fact कि उससे पहले CAT में मैंने 99.99 परसेंटाइल स्कोर किया था, तो हार्डवर्क में मेरी कमी नहीं थी. But did that test teach me something? It certainly did. It made me a better teacher. It made me know exactly किस पैटर्न का एग्जामिनेशन आया था. It made me look at new pattern of questions. So the D-Day is the final day जहां आपकी एग्जामिनेशन होगी. आपका काम है मेहनत करना. That's all. और God forbid अगर मेरा सिलेक्शन नहीं होता, ये मेरी मेहनत कहीं ना कहीं मेरे लाइफ में जरूर काम आएगी. Just mind my words. I have taught thousands of people. Do every one of them get selected? Possibly not, because we have limited number of seats. But do they do well in their lives if they're hardworking? I can assure you they certainly do. Okay? So, कोई मेरे जैसा है यहां जो मेहनत करने के बाद भी मॉक में मार्क्स नहीं ला रहा है. Okay? So, that's the idea. Don't be scared of मेहनत. मेहनत करोगे तो कहीं ना कहीं जरूर. तो हो सकता है ईशान and everyone writing +1, ईशान, people are working harder than you are. People are working smarter than you are. It's a fight for limited number of seats. है ना? Seats तो limited ही है. Rank 1 एक ही बच्चे का आएगा. वो रैंक 1 के लिए सब फाइट कर रहे हैं. एनएलएस में 60 सीटें तो लिमिटेड नंबर ऑफ बच्चे एंटर करेंगे. So if you are writing +1, you probably aren't working as hard or as smartly as everybody else is. We have to find out what's wrong here. Okay? And somebody else asked me another question. Yes, docket फिर से explain करते हैं. Docket is, I'll explain that in Hindi. Okay? So, ma'am, in CAT exam, maths is there, right? But still 99 percentile in verbal. Abhinav in verbal ability, not overall. Okay, good question. You know how bad I am with mathematics. Okay, so a good lawyer guarantees an NLU reputation, but an NLU cannot guarantee a good lawyer. Absolutely, my child, absolutely. So back to the vocabulary. I hope this motivation keeps you working harder throughout the day, throughout the week. Docket. कोर्ट में पेंडिंग केसेस हैं. कितने पेंडिंग केसेस है वो डॉकेट है. आई एम श्योर आपको पता है हमारे कंट्री में कितने पेंडिंग केसेस है. वी आर नॉट गोइंग टू बी टॉकिंग अबाउट ऑल ऑफ द पेंडिंग केसेस. वी आर गोइंग टू बी टॉकिंग अबाउट दोस पेंडिंग केसेस जो डायरेक्टली मेरे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन को चैलेंज करते हैं. सो दैट्स द आर्टिकल. हाउ मेनी पेंडिंग केसेस डू वी हैव इन द कोर्ट? दैट्स अ डॉकेट. ओके, इंप्यूनिटी आ गया सबको समझ में. नेक्स्ट वर्ड एब्रोगेशन. सो एब्रोगेशन इज बेसिकली वायलेशन ऑफ अ लॉ, रिपीलिंग ऑफ अ लॉ, कॉलिंग इट बैक, or a right or an agreement, you break it, that's abrogation of that. You break a law, you break an agreement, you break a right, a fundamental right given to a person, that's abrogation. Okay? So, all right. Exactly, Vaibhav. Correct. Good morning, Hira too, and Sahil. Yes, everyone else in the YouTube channel as well. Vindicate. Last word for this slide is basically when you make somebody free of punishment, free of, not necessarily free of punishment, free of suspicion and free of doubt is vindicate. Okay, so hospital staff were vindicated by the inquest verdict. Okay, they were made free by any kind of blame that was there on them or any kind of suspicion that was there on them. I wish the blames were vindicated on the Dosa, if I'm not wrong, the Rajasthan gynecologist who had to commit suicide. Yes, so vindicate is to make somebody free of all the doubt and blame and suspicion. Acquit, yes, बोल सकते हो आप. Reprieve भी बोल सकते हो. Absolve, yes. Acquit is the best word, exactly. Acquit is the best word, correct. Justify, substantiate, establish, ratify. Yes. Let off the hook, Vedika, correct. Let off the hook is correct. Okay. Absolve bhi ho sakta hai. Okay. Slide number 1. Jaldi jaldi screenshot le lo sab log. Let's move to the next slide. Slide number 2. Okay. Assiduously is बहुत ध्यान से, बहुत carefully, बहुत चीजों को ध्यान में रखते हुए is assiduously. Leaders worked assiduously to hammer out an action plan. They worked meticulously, carefully to make an action plan. Okay, hammer out is to create. Okay, that's the meaning of the phrase. So assiduously is very carefully, very meticulously is assiduous. Any synonyms to that? Yeah, Samarth, meticulously. Carefulness, zealous related word. Arduous, scrutiny related word. Scrupulously हो सकता है. Yes, scrupulous हो सकता है, बिल्कुल. Diligently is a synonym. Correct. Arduous हो सकता है. Okay, that's assiduous. Next, ramification. Okay, so that's basically, we've heard this word so many times while we're reading newspapers. We've read them. So a complex or unwelcome consequence of an action or an event. We did not expect it. It was an unwelcome one. And then when it has happened, you'll have to deal with the problematic situation. That's ramification. Any changes bound to have legal ramification, legal implications that are undesired or unwelcome. That these outcomes are ramification. Undesired outcome. Okay. Industrious, laborious, scrupulous for assiduous. Yes, correct, Jayaprakash. Correct. Good morning, Tulsi. I see so many new people today in my app. Good to see you guys. So many new people. And on my YouTube channel as well. Lately, a lot of people have joined me. Okay. So, aaj Wednesday hai. Friday ko revision class hoga. Remember that? Don't miss out on that. Okay. Spin-off for ramification related. Implication ho sakta hai. Okay. Byproduct. Repercussion. Yes, Tanu. That's an exact synonym. Repercussion. Consequence. Okay. Next word. Presumptively. So presumptively is when you believe in something and you presume something to be likely to be true. Not necessarily it is, but you believe into signs. These signs are presumptively. So presumptive signs of pregnancy. You possibly aren't sure of the pregnancy, but there are signs. That's presumptive. So when you presume something, looking at the indications, that is presumptively. Okay. Hi, Raja Kumar. मैम मई मंथ के एडिटोरियल इंपॉर्टेंट होंगे 22 के लिए? बिल्कुल होंगे पलक. यस, बिल्कुल होंगे. आपको पता है ये कभी भी लास्ट मोमेंट पे चेंज हो सकती है चीजें. ओके. डिफरेंस बिटवीन अजम्पशन एंड प्रिजम्पशन. ओके, देखो कौन बताएगा अजम्पशन और प्रिजम्पशन में क्या डिफरेंस है? एनीवन? They certainly are related, but how are they different? Assuming, yes, you can say that. Ostensibly, yes, Vaishnavi. Good morning everyone. Yeah. So, how is assumption different from presumption? Yes, exactly. It's the same article. DSHRD, the same article of the pending cases. I think we had to discuss it in detail. बहुत सारी GK involved है, बहुत सारी चीजें involved है. Politics aside, will not talk about that. कि कौन सी गवर्नमेंट क्या कर रही है. ठीक है. Ramification फिर से बताओ. एक अनडिजायरेबल रैमिफिकेशन प्रियंका, एक अनडिजायरेबल आउटपुट, एक अनडिजायरेबल रिजल्ट, एक अनडिजायरेबल एक्शन. आपने कुछ किया, अब उसका जो इंप्लीकेशन होगा अगर वो अनडिजायरेबल है, दैट्स रैमिफिकेशन. ओके. Presumption is always before. Exactly. Pre is before. But assumption can be made after that as well. Exactly. That's the only minute difference. You can use these words interchangeably in colloquial language. Remember that. Okay? Colloquially, aap assume is believing in something as true and presume is based on some information. Yes, you can say that as well, Vedika. Just remember, presumption is always before everything else. Okay? And assumption can be afterward as well. Justify, warrant, substantiate, establish. For okay, yeah, you can say that. Correct. नेक्स्ट वन इवेजन, इवेड करना, किसी चीज को अवॉइड करना, किसी चीज से दूर जाना, एस्केप करना इज इवेजन. फ्रेंड्स हेल्प मी टू इवेड कैप्चर फॉर अ टाइम. अच्छा, इसको अरेस्ट करने वाले थे तो फ्रेंड्स ने उसको हेल्प किया, ये भी अकॉम्प्लिस हो गए. सो फ्रेंड्स, इवेड करना मीन्स किसी चीज से दूर भागना, बचना, अवॉइड करना, एस्केप करना इज इवेजन. स्लाइड नंबर 2, जल्दी जल्दी स्क्रीनशॉट ले लो सब लोग. ओके, मेरी वीडियो टीम की भी सुन लो सब लोग. मुझे रोज क्यों रिमाइंड करना पड़ता है कि आप लाइव आते हो तो सबसे पहली चीज करनी होती है लाइक. 84 पीपल लाइव हैं, 39 लाइक्स हैं. क्यों भाई? ट्रिकरी फॉर इवेजन, यस. वॉल्टिंग, रिफ्रेनिंग, एस्च्यू, सर्कमवेंट, डॉजिंग, एल्यूडिंग, सारे सिनोनिम्स हैं. बिल्कुल करेक्ट. एल्यूड, डॉज, साइड स्टेपिंग, वेग नहीं होगा, नो. ओके, balk, refrain, all of these are synonyms. Okay, next slide number 3. So critique is basically evaluate something in detail on the basis of every aspect. Okay, एक होता है criticism. Okay, in criticism you find faults, but then there is a critique rating. You see that in movies वो वहां गलतियां नहीं निकालते हैं, वो डिटेल्ड इवैल्यूएशन करते हैं एक मूवी का on the basis of various aspects. That detailed evaluation and analysis on various aspects is critic. Okay, or in past tense critiqued. The authors critique the method and practices used in the research. They evaluate, they analyze the methods and practices, and that's exactly what is critical reasoning. The same critic here. In critical reasoning, you don't find flaws. You evaluate an argument. That's why it's called critical reasoning. Scrutiny बोल सकते हो. Yes. Like we analyze mocks, Ishan. बिल्कुल correct. Scrutiny बोल सकते हो, analysis बोल सकते हो. Okay? IMDb, yes, critics rating होती है. Okay, deference is, देखो, एक होता है डेफर्ड, मतलब डीलेड. ठीक है. दी अदर डेफरेंसेस जब आप बहुत रेस्पेक्ट दिखाते हो, बहुत किसी चीज को फॉलो करते हो, आप उनको वायलेट नहीं करना चाहते, अपोज नहीं करना चाहते, दैट इज डेफरेंस. सो ही एड्रेस्ड हर विद डेफरेंस ड्यू टू एज, बिकॉज उसकी एज ज्यादा थी पॉसिबली. सो जिस तरीके से एड्रेस किया गया था, इट वॉज फुल ऑफ डेफरेंस और रेवरेंस. या सो विथ अ लॉट ऑफ रेस्पेक्ट इज डेफरेंस. एस्टीम, यस. रेवरेंस भी बोल सकते हो. या वेनरेशन, करेक्ट समर्थ. ऑनरेबल, submissive related word. Homage, courtesy. Yeah, all of these are synonyms. Investigate for critique, yes, you're right, Vedika. Okay, glorify, etiquette, vehemence, benign vehemence related word. Okay, exact synonym nahi honge. Hypersoon. Okay, germane related one. Okay, the last one, unconscionable. Unconscionable is आपका कॉन्शियंस नहीं सही बताता उस चीज को. योर कॉन्शियंस सेज दिस इज नॉट राइट, नॉट रीजनेबल, सो यू शुड नॉट बी डूइंग दैट, इज अनकॉन्शनेबल. द अनकॉन्शनेबल कंडक्ट ऑफ हिज सन, नॉट राइट, द कंडक्ट वाज नॉट गुड, नॉट राइट, नॉट एक्सेप्टेबल, is unconscionable. Okay, when the conscience says it's not right. Benevolence for deference is correct. I think you're trying to write capitulation. Vedika, are you? हाँ राजा, स्क्रूटिनी फॉर क्रिटिक्ड करेक्ट है. amoral बोल सकते हो unconscionable को. unscrupulous is a better word. Yeah, unscrupulous, Shreya, correct. immoral, unacceptable, unethical, compunction. Okay, that's unconscionable. Slide number 3, all the words are done. स्क्रीनशॉट ले लो जल्दी से, फिर पढ़ना स्टार्ट करते हैं हमारे आर्टिकल्स. ओके, डन एवरीवन? Yeah. So, disproportionate, immoderate, undue, outrageous. Yes, all these are synonyms, Ragini, for barbarous, for unconscionable. Okay, so here we go. Unfair. So let's start with the article, but before that, CLAT 2023 target kar rahe ho? December wala CLAT? New course, comprehensive combo course has been launched. जल्दी से enroll कर लो. बहुत कम time है आपके पास. A docket full of unresolved constitutional cases. Cases that possibly have or have tried to violate some constitutional clause. And then there are cases pending in the court. But the cases have been pending for years, for months. लेकिन हमारा कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन कहता है कि ऐसे केसेस विद इन 1 month फास्ट ट्रैक में सॉल्व होने चाहिए. डिस्पाइट दैट अ लॉट ऑफ एक्स CJIs dodged it according to the article. I'm not blaming it, okay? And the current CJI possibly takes up the responsibility and is trying to get things straightened up. But yet there are so many cases that have tried to violate or infringe or twist our constitution, and thus this article becomes a very important one. Okay, so let's start reading that. ये text and context से है. I don't remember, but Hindu से तो है, but text and context से है. I don't remember that. Okay, so N.V. Ramana, the CJI of India, the CJI, stated that he would discuss with other judges and consider listing after summer vacations the petitions challenging the abrogation of Article 370. आपको पता Article 370 क्या था? जहां जम्मू एंड कश्मीर का स्पेशल स्टेटस रिपील कर दिया गया था and it was divided into 2 union territories. Okay, now see, पहले मुझे ये बताओ सबसे पहले सब लोग, before I discuss Article 370, how is a UT different from a state? And what is actually bad about a UT if you compare it to a state's functioning? Who's going to tell me that? Not bad, but not desirable. Yes, Anushka. Agreed. +1. Good morning, Trosik. Good to see you back, my child. Of course, yes, Ayushi. UTs are under the center's control. Yes. Whereas the states have their own elected governments. And if a state has a different political party ruling than the center, then there are chances that the center would not intervene into the functioning of the state. Because हमारा country एक federal system of governance follow करता है, जहां power is divided amongst a center and then state, और फिर बाकी नीचे executive तक power division होता है, right? So UT is directly under the center. So when Jammu and Kashmir was divided into 2 clear union territories, of course the center had control over the union territories there. So there are a lot of cases pending. In fact, one major case pending on Article 370, which stripped off Jammu and Kashmir of its special status, जो कि सालों से चलता आ रहा था special status. In this article dated December 7, 2021, Gautam Bharti outlines how the court has left, ये basically एक brief है, आगे article जो आने वाला उसका, okay? So the court has left a host of highly significant constitutional cases. Can the government do that? Yes, of course the government can do that. If the government can do that, is it a right decision to strip off Jammu and Kashmir of its special status and make it into UTs? Has it violated any of the basic rights? That's the case pending in the court, and it's a very important case pending, long pending rather. And why hearing them is important for the accountability of the judiciary? Yes, because judiciary और आपको पता है judiciary और सेंटर के बीच में कितनी बड़ी या जुडिशरी या फेडरल के बीच में कितनी बड़ी डिस्प्यूट रही है हमेशा से हमारे कंट्री में. This actually, if the cases are pending, it undermines the power of our judiciary. The longer it is pending for, it undermines the power of our judiciary even more, because the judiciary is the only one that has right to straighten up our federal form of governance. Agreed, everyone? The only thing that has the right, apart from the citizens. Yes? Okay. So now, During the framing of the Indian Constitution, it was proposed that any petition alleging a breach in the fundamental rights by the state ought to be decided within 1 month. It was said, okay, it was discussed कि एक महीने में इसको हम रिजॉल्व कर देना चाहिए, स्पेसिफिकली अगर वो किसी फंडामेंटल राइट का वायलेशन है, बिकॉज फंडामेंटल राइट ही है जो हमारे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन का बेसिक फंडामेंटल बनाते हैं. अगर वो इंश्योर नहीं हो रहा, देन आवर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन बिकम्स अ बेसलेस वन. While the proposal did not find its way in the text of the constitution, ऐसा लिखा नहीं गया कि एक महीने में आपको उसको सॉल्व करना पड़ेगा. So it was not written in the constitution. It nonetheless articulated something of great importance. Between the individual and the state, there exists a substantial asymmetry of power. What is the asymmetry of power the author is trying to say here? What is the asymmetry of power? Who's going to explain this? Okay. Yes, it does not mention that in the constitution. So what does it imply then? It implies an asymmetry of power. How? It always exists. Yes, Sakhi. Yes, what's your doubt? If it is related to this article, I would address it right now, Hireto. But if it's beyond that, I would expect you to ask me the doubt by the end of the class. शाही समझ में नहीं आ रहा क्या लिखा है तुमने. क्या लिखा है बेटा? इतने एसएमएस लैंग्वेज मत. इसका मतलब क्या है? एसएमएस लैंग्वेज मत लिखो बेटा. Division of power, it's not equal. The state has more power. It's unequal distribution of power. Individual has lesser power than the state has. State has more power. Exactly. Okay? So, जब ये 1 month में solve करने वाली चीज constitution में अपनी जगह नहीं बना पाई, it did not make a place in the constitution written text. It made one thing clear, that the division of power is not equal. The state has more power over the individuals. While the violation of rights, whether through executive or legislative action, is relatively costless for the state. Of course, why? What will it cost to the state if there's a violation of rights? Violation of right होगा तो individual का violation होगा ना. Why will the state be bothered? Here state does not mean Rajasthan or Maharashtra. I hope you understand what the state here refers to. Okay, so if there's a violation of the right, the state doesn't cost anything to the state. It is the individual or many individuals who pay the price. What happened in Jammu and Kashmir, Article 370? The state that didn't pay the price. Who paid the price? The individual state. And who must then run from pillar to post to vindicate their constitutionally guaranteed rights? The individuals. The state is okay. उनको क्या फर्क पड़ रहा है? It's not costing. It did not cost them anything. So they'll say, why do I run from pillar to post? Why do I need to ensure that you better do that? It's your right that's being violated. You ensure that the rights are given back to you. And that's exactly why these pending cases create a lot of hardship for the individual or individuals whose rights have been violated. Consequently, a constitution is entirely ineffective if a rights violating status quo is allowed. At all, हमारा कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ही हमें डेमोक्रेटिक बनाता है. हमारा कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ही इंश्योर करता है कि मैं कुछ कर सकती हूं या कुछ नहीं कर सकती हूं. वहां अगर मेरे बेसिक फंडामेंटल राइट वायलेट होते हैं और कोई भी जुडिशरी उस स्टेटस को उस एग्जिस्टिंग स्टेट ऑफ अफेयर्स को कंटिन्यू होने देती है मंथ्स तक, ईयर्स तक, वो मेरा बेसिक फंडामेंटल जिस पे मेरा कंट्री खड़ा है वो उसको वायलेट कर देते हैं. अग्रीड एवरीवन? सो if a constitution is entirely ineffective, and the constitutions will be ineffective if the rights violating status quo is allowed to exist and perpetuate for months or even years before it is finally resolved. And होता क्या पता है, जब तक वो रिजॉल्व हो सकता है होता है तब तक वो चीज ही यूजलेस हो जाती है, उसका इंपैक्ट ही नलिफाई हो जाता है, कोई सिग्निफिकेंस ही नहीं होता. That's what delaying does into our constitution. Okay, so yes, Ashi आते हैं. We are the ones who have to make the efforts to make sure we get our rights. Yes. So Hireto, by the end of the class, okay? आगे देखते हैं क्या है. This point, of course, is not limited to the violation of rights, but extends to all significant constitutional questions that arise in the course of controversial state action. देखो, a government decides to do something. It may be violating a right, it may not be violating a right, but yet it's a questionable action that a government does. If it's a questionable action, the judiciary must take up the case in fast court. It shouldn't be delayed, is what this line says. Issues are, and it doesn't necessarily have to be violation of a right. Remember that. Issues around the federal structure, elections, election से related कितनी चीजें आती, कितने cases pending है, hundreds and thousands of them on elections. They don't violate the fundamental rights given to individuals. Yet, if this is a questionable action done by the government, the judiciary should not be delaying that. And all of these many cases involve questions of power and accountability. And longer the court takes to resolve such cases, the more we move from a realm of accountability to a realm of impunity. Impunity किसको मिलती है यहाँ? State को. जितना delay होगा cases, उतनी impunity मिलती जाएगी. So, delayed is undesirable here. In this context, let's take a few examples. Let's understand ये delayed कितना harmful हो सकता है हमारे लिए. Okay, so yes, in this context, the 2021 draws to a close. A look at the Supreme Court of India's docket reveals a host of highly significant constitutional cases that were long pending when the year began and are now simply a year older without any sign of resolution around the corner. ये तो 2021 के एंड का है. अभी भी आप देखोगे वो जो केसेस यहाँ लिखे हुए हैं ना वो अभी भी पेंडिंग है. So probably years of the cases being pending. All these cases involve crucial questions about the state power. कितनी power है state के पास में? Yes. Do you remember the केशवानंद भारती case? सबको पता होगा. सबको पता है ना ये केस. अली लेट आयो बच्चे. डॉकेट 3 बार समझाया क्लास में. डॉकेट is the pending cases. केशवानंद भारती केसेस सबको पता है ना? I'm sure everyone would remember the case. I think one of the most discussed landmark judgments है ना? So I will not discuss क्या केस था, but the idea is एक स्टेट के पास कितना पावर है, कितनी चीजें डिसाइड कर सकता है स्टेट, कितने एक्शन ले सकता है स्टेट, अकाउंटेबिलिटी कितनी है, इम्प्यूनिटी कितनी है, एग्जेम्पशन है पनिशमेंट. अगर केसेस पेंडिंग है तो इम्प्यूनिटी तो मिली हुई है, यू आर एग्जेम्प्टेड फ्रॉम पनिशमेंट, देयर इज नो पनिशमेंट फॉर यू. Consequently, the longer they are left hanging without a decision, the greater the damage that is inflicted upon our constitutional democracy's commitment to rule of law. That is, our democracy is committed to follow the rule of law. We aren't possibly following that because the cases are pending here. Yes, the basic structure of the doctrine. Yes. Okay. So, what are some of these cases? देखते हैं example. ऐसे कौन से cases है which are pending, which should have been addressed within a month because they either give undue power to the state or violate some of our fundamental rights. First, there is this constitutional challenge to the presidential orders on August 5th, 2019. That is dilution of Article 370 of the Indian Constitution. That is special status जो जम्मू एंड कश्मीर को दिया था 370, उसका dilution हो गया. Okay, guys. आप लोग अगर एसलैट दे रहे हो तो एसलैट में इंटरव्यूज, जीडीज, राइट, इज एन इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट. सो आर्टिकल 370 becomes an important one. If you're sitting for the BB entrance examination as well, there are many interviews and GDs and micro presentation that you have to sit for. So Article 370 becomes an important aspect on GDs interviews as well. So Article 370 was diluted in 2019 and bifurcated the state into 2 union territories, and these UTs were controlled by the center. There is a widespread tendency to view Kashmir question as having been settled. Why do we see this issue as being settled? One reason, the delayed hearing on the case. When the case is being delayed, when the hearing is being delayed, looks like the state is impune. Looks like that. So as well, and gradually people, you know, keep accepting the fact कि ठीक है delay हो गया है, धीरे धीरे accept कर लेते हैं, क्योंकि एक change होता है. My daughter उसको हमने स्कूल भेजना स्टार्ट किया, तो 2 दिन 3 दिन 4 दिन वो रोई, फिर धीरे धीरे उसने भी एक्सेप्ट करना स्टार्ट कर दिया कि मम्मा तो मानेगी नहीं, वो तो स्कूल भेजेगी, तो आई थिंक दिस इज व्हाट द रियलिटी इज, ये मुझे करना पड़ेगा. शी वुड सेटल इन. दैट्स व्हाट हैपेंस विद अस एज वेल. जब एक डिसीजन डिले होता है, वो रोज बोलती थी मम्मा स्कूल मत भेजो, बट वो डिले होता गया, तो शी वुड सेटल इन. एंड आफ्टर द इवेंट्स ऑफ द repealing of Article 370, with it now being a political impossibility to return to the pre-19 status quo. Of course, 2 साल होने को आ गए हैं, है ना, और अब लग रहा है कि ये वापस जाना हमारे लिए इम्पॉसिबल है. Which will last line? Which last line, Tanu? Which last line? Yes, the crucial time passed. Exactly. Yes, Poonam, it's a very interesting article. Thank you, Pankaj. I've been doing it for 12 years. Exactly, Tanu. Correct, Tanu. बिल्कुल correct. Okay? So, जितना डिले होती है चीजें, लोग उसको एक्सेप्ट करने लग जाते हैं, और अब ऐसा लगता है that it's actually impossible for us to go back to the pre-19, when the Article 370 was clearly applicable. Regrettably, this, अच्छा, आपको पता है जब आर्टिकल 370 एप्लीकेबल था ना, तब भी हम आर्टिकल 370 को क्वेश्चन करते थे. उसको रिपील कर दिया, तब भी हम उसको क्वेश्चन करते हैं. Why? जब एप्लीकेबल था, we were not happy with that. तो उसके रिपील करने पे हम क्यों अनहैप्पी हैं? What could be a reason for that? I would like to know your point of view here. Why are we unhappy with the repealing of it now? Why? I'd like to see if you understand this. Because जब था तब भी हम unhappy थे. We were questioning it all the time. क्यों है आर्टिकल 370 भाई? क्यों दे दिया है आर्मी को अनकंडीशनल पावर? Shoot at sight. What do you think? Do you know what I'm talking about? Okay, maybe they didn't see any benefit. I am not unhappy. I'm totally in support. Okay. Okay. Majority are happy. Okay. Are people in Kashmir happy? Shubham, okay. I'll tell you. One reason, a political reason for being unhappy with this. Rather, there are two. पहला रीजन है, अगर आप अपनी गवर्नमेंट के फंक्शनिंग को क्वेश्चन नहीं करते हो, तो क्या आप एक डेमोक्रेसी में हो? पहले ये आंसर करो मुझे. चाहे गवर्नमेंट ये करे या वो करे, आपका काम है आपकी गवर्नमेंट को क्वेश्चन करना. Okay? So, for you to, as a citizen, to maintain a country that's democratic, because the government is for you, you are not for the government. So, you are ought to question the government. I don't care who is in the governance, be it BJP, Congress, आप जो भी है, मेरा काम है तुमको क्वेश्चन करना. तुम मेरे लिए हो, मैं तुम्हारे लिए नहीं हूं. ठीक है, पहला ये चीज है. दूसरा, जिस तरीके से ये डाइल्यूशन हुआ और जिस तरीके से वो यूटीज में डिवाइड हो गया इंस्टेड ऑफ अ स्टेट, दैट इज क्वेश्चनेबल. एग्जैक्टली तनु, दैट इज क्वेश्चनेबल. Okay? So, the question that is arising in the passage here is that why have they been converted into UTs? Why was there not a consensus with the political leaders there? They might have stood for an election. Do you remember how late it got for our Prime Minister to go and meet the political representatives there? Agreed? So, these are the two reasons why it is still a questionable decision. Okay, getting back to it. Regrettably, this tendency seems to have gripped the court as well as in how assiduously it has avoided hearing and deciding the case. Possibly because it's a political one. And Politics aside, the case raises certain fundamental questions about constitutional power and accountability. ये देखो, the author is explaining here that why this case raises questions. First, it raises the question of whether the center can take advantage of Article 365 situation in a state, a time when no elected government. देखो, सबसे पहला Article 356, sorry, गलत पढ़ा मैंने. Article 356 क्या है? 356 is basically जहां स्टेट गवर्नमेंट अच्छे से फंक्शन नहीं कर पाती है या कोई स्टेट गवर्नमेंट नहीं होती, डाइल्यूट हो जाती है, उस केस में सेंटर इंटरवीन कर देती है. ठीक है, तो डज इट लुक लाइक आर्टिकल 356 what was unduly used in this case? And that's exactly what the author thinks. It was possibly taking an unfair advantage of Article 356 of our Constitution. Okay? A time when no elected government and assembly is in existence. So the center says, ठीक है, मेरी पार्टी में आ जाओ, मैं संभालूंगा तुम्हें, to make permanent and irreversible. और उस टाइम पे एक ऐसा डिसीजन लेना जब आर्टिकल 356 एप्लीकेबल है, कोई गवर्नमेंट नहीं है, आपने इसको रिपील कर दिया, रिपील करते ही क्या हुआ, कोई गवर्नमेंट नहीं है, तो सेंटर आ गई पावर में, सेंटर पावर में आती उन्होंने ऐसे एक्शन लिए जो परमानेंट हो गए और इररिवर्सिबल हो गए. सो ये पॉसिबली एक ऑटोक्रेटिक राइट दे सकता है गवर्नमेंट को, अकॉर्डिंग टू द ऑथर. ओके, so Ali, I'm not really sure if you think this case is vital or not, but I would think it's pretty vital. Okay, not poking questions on what you are eating or what you're doing, but ultimately the government is to serve you. Remember that. And unless and until there's a political philosophy that unless and until you question the government, आपको पता है there are certain political parties जो इस ideology पे dependent होती हैं. Not in India, we haven't seen such in India, जिनका काम अपनी ही पॉलिटिकल पार्टी को क्वेश्चन करना होता है, बिकॉज दे थिंक हम तभी बेटरमेंट करेंगे. सो अली, अगर मैं मेरे मॉक के स्कोर्स को क्वेश्चन नहीं करूंगी, मैं मेरा मॉक का स्कोर्स बेटर कैसे करूंगी? सो दैट्स द आइडियोलॉजी. आपको एक एक चीज को क्वेश्चन करना पड़ेगा, एक एक क्वेश्चन जो गलत हुआ उसको एनालाइज करना पड़ेगा. सो पॉसिबली वेयर द गवर्नमेंट इज स्पेंडिंग, व्हाट द गवर्नमेंट इज ईटिंग, व्हाट द पॉलिटिशियंस आर ईटिंग, वो क्वेश्चन करना भी जरूरी होता है एज अ सिटीजन और एज अ पार्टी ऑफ द as a member of the same political party for your own betterment. ये सिर्फ blankly pointing out mistakes नहीं है, ये betterment के लिए है. I hope you understand that. Okay? All right, चलो आगे बढ़ते हैं. So first there is a constitutional challenge of the next page. The answer will have important ramification not just for Jammu and Kashmir but for the entire federal structure. India has a long history of the abuse of Article 356. तो इसका मतलब ये पॉलिटिकल आर्टिकल नहीं है, हम सिर्फ बीजेपी को ब्लेम नहीं कर रहे, लॉन्ग हिस्ट्री रही है. आर्टिकल 356 जिसके हाथ में आया ना उसने अनड्यू एडवांटेज उठाया इसका, टू गेट रिड ऑफ इनकन्वीनियंट स्टेट गवर्नमेंट्स. उनको इनकन्वीनियंट लगा, उन्होंने बोला लगाओ आर्टिकल 356 हटाओ गवर्नमेंट को. And a further expansion of the power already enjoyed by the center will skew an already tilted federal scheme even further. I will not talk about the tilted federal scheme here, बहुत political हो जाएगा. सेकेंड देखते हैं, ठीक है, सेकेंड क्या इंप्लीकेशन है. द केस ऑल्सो रेजेस क्वेश्चन और वेदर अंडर द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन द यूनियन लेजिस्लेचर हैज द अथॉरिटी नॉट सिंपली टू ऑल्टर द स्टेट बाउंड्रीज बट ऑल्सो टू डिग्रेड अ स्टेट इनटू अ यूनियन टेरिटरी. जहां पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज थी, पॉलिटिकल लीडर्स थे, दे कुड हैव स्टूड फॉर एन इलेक्शन, वहां उसको यूटी बना दिया. So if it turned out that union legislator does have this power, it would essentially mean that India's federal structure is entirely at the mercy of the parliament. है ना, कि हमारा जो फेडरल स्ट्रक्चर है वो पार्लियामेंट ही डिसाइड करेगा अगर हमारी सेंटर के पास ही पावर है तो. Yes, absolutely, Sakhi. That's exactly what I want to say. Okay? So अल्टीमेटली अगर ये राइट था गवर्नमेंट के पास कि वो यूटीज बना दे, तो फिर तो हम पार्लियामेंट की मर्जी पे हैं, पार्लियामेंट ही डिसाइड करेगा हम क्या करते हैं. पार्लियामेंट कुड देन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनली, क्योंकि अगर गवर्नमेंट के पास ये राइट है तो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनली कन्वर्ट इंडिया फ्रॉम अ यूनियन ऑफ स्टेट्स टू अ यूनियन ऑफ यूनियन टेरिटरीज. सारे स्टेट्स को बना दो, सबको यूटी बना दो, सबको सेंटर गवर्न करेगा अगर मन करा उनका तो. नीडलेस टू से दिस एज वेल वुड सिग्नल अ ह्यूजली सिग्निफिकेंट शिफ्ट इन द पावर टू द सेंटर. Remember, I am not calling out on the center that's there in the center right now. Okay? I'm calling out on anybody. because ये पहली बार नहीं हो रहा है. As long as both these questions remain undecided, however, the Act of 5th August 2019, that was Article 370 repealing, remain presumptively legal with the prospect that they may well be repeated in other parts of the country. और अगर ऐसा है तो गलत है. That means इस केस को जल्दी से जल्दी सुनना जरूरी है. For this reason, the Supreme Court's now 2.5-year delay in hearing answering these questions is unconscionable. Pick it up right away. Another long pending case is the constitutional challenge to the electoral bond scheme. हाँ, ये इंटरेस्टिंग है. यहां तुम सब मेरे सपोर्ट में रहोगे. यूटी होना इसलिए डिग्रेडेशन हो गया अकॉर्डिंग टू द ऑथर श्रेया. आई एम नॉट यूजिंग द वर्ड, रिमेंबर. यूटी होना इसलिए डिग्रेडेशन हो गया बिकॉज यूटी विल कम डायरेक्टली अंडर द पावर ऑफ द सेंटर. द सेंटर विल गवर्न इट. ओके, तो अगर इतना बड़ा स्टेट आप कंप्लीटली यूटी बना देते हो जहां एक इलेक्शन हो सकता है, डेमोक्रेटिकली इलेक्टेड गवर्नमेंट हो सकती है, फंक्शन कर सकती है, स्पेसिफिकली एक ऐसे एरिया में जो कि एंटी सेंटर रही है हमेशा से, वहां अगर आपने यूटी बना दिया तो वो किसी ना किसी तरीके से डिग्रेडेशन हो गया. फिर तो एक ही गवर्नमेंट रहेगी. सारे स्टेट को यूटी बना दो, एक गवर्नमेंट रख लो सेंटर में. फिर हम कैसे क्वेश्चन करेंगे एक दूसरे को? इसीलिए उसको डिग्रेडेशन बोला है. ओके, सो आगे बढ़ते हैं, देखते हैं. The second example is a long pending case of the challenge to the electoral bond scheme that has now crossed over 4 years. इसमें पता है क्या है इस electoral bond scheme में? The electoral bond scheme authorizes limitless anonymous corporate donation. Anonymous. कहां से पैसा आ रहा है, कितना पैसा आ रहा है बताना जरूरी नहीं है और कोई लिमिट नहीं है to political parties. XYZ n number of amount can be donated anonymously to a political party, making election funding both entirely opaque to the people as well as being structurally biased towards the party that is in power in the center. हो सकता है सेंटर से स्टेट को पैसा जा रहा हो सकता है. Yes, could happen. नहीं भी जा रहा हो तो किसी पॉलिटिकल पार्टी को कितना पैसा मिल रहा है वो भी anonymously मिल रहा है और लिमिटलेस मिल रहा है. This can lead to a lot of black money being circulated in the entire economy. I hope you understand that. So, in numerous central and state election cycles in the last 4 years, thousands of crores of rupees have been spent in anonymous political donations. Crores and crores of them. कहां से आया, किसने दिया, नहीं पता. Thus impacting not only the integrity of the election process, yes, and that's exactly why election commission function करता है, so that the integrity continues to function, but it violates the integrity of election process. Also, the constitutional right of the citizen to an informed vote. मुझे पता होना चाहिए तुम्हारे पास पैसा कहां से आया है. मैं तभी डिसाइड करूंगा तुम्हें मुझे वोट करना है कि नहीं करना है. I need to be informed. I am voting for you. You have to be transparent. यहाँ transparency vanish हो रही है, opaque हो गई है. However, other than 2 interim orders, the Supreme Court has refused to accord a full hearing to the constitutional challenges. In few months' time, it will be one full 5-year cycle of the. ये हम छोड़ देते हैं, थोड़ा सा सेंटर पे ज्यादा टारगेट हो गया यहाँ, है ना, इसको छोड़ देते हैं. Absolutely, Sakhi. बिल्कुल तनु, बिल्कुल. These electoral bond scheme is a rape of mouth of democracy and right to information. Agreed. Yeah. Now everybody is on the same page as I am. सब मेरे साथ agree कर रहे हैं अब. Okay, thankfully. So इसको छोड़ देते हैं, थोड़ा सा political है. It is important to note that in both these cases, the Supreme Court's inaction is not neutral, but rather favors the beneficiaries of the status quo. I will not name who the beneficiaries are. In other words, by not deciding, the court is in effective deciding in favor of one party, but without a reasoned judgment that justifies its stance. This is also true for a number of other cases pending before the court. For example, 2013. Okay, that's an interesting case. चलो ये पढ़ते हैं. So, the Guwahati High Court held that the Central Bureau of Investigation was not established under any statutory authority. So, CBI baseless हो जाता है इस hearing के साथ. Of course, the verdict was stayed by the Supreme Court और तब से वो pending ही है. कोई इस पे research नहीं है. Where the Guwahati High Court says that the CBI is not established under any statutory authority. तो उसको authority मिलनी ही नहीं चाहिए. Thus, the CBI continues to function, of course, because stay hai us order pe, us verdict pe, Supreme Court ka, and then there's no hearing that has happened on that. Often controversially, the CBI functions. We saw that in many cases. Can you name a case where we saw controversial functioning of the CBI? Anyone? Do you remember that? Can you name a case where we saw the controversial functioning of the CBI? I would agree with you, Ali. What case comes to your mind where the CBI was functioning controversially? Sushant Singh, okay. Bhima Koregaon case, yes, absolutely. Okay. The Lakhimpur Kheri case. Aryan Khan case. Aryan Khan case. Also this Ayushi Talwar case, yes. Yes, the Parambir Singh case, yes. The Talwar family case, Lakhimpur Kheri case, yeah. Agreed. So, आगे देखते हैं. ये obviously continues to function because there is a stay on their verdict. Apart from benefiting the party that profits from the status quo, which we have seen, is invariably the state. Judicial evasion of this kind is also damaging the accountability of the judiciary itself. Is the judiciary accountable to us? Of course it is. और ऐसा लग रहा है they're trying to evade it. Once a court decides a case, its reasoning, which must by definition be public. हमको obviously वो public होता है. We know the hearing. It is public. It can be publicly scrutinized. We can question, other lawyers can question, and तभी केसवानंद भारती जैसे केसेस आते हैं, है ना, क्योंकि वो पब्लिक स्क्रूटिनी होती है चीजों की, पब्लिक क्वेश्चनिंग होती है चीजों की. सो एंड देन देयर आर क्रिटिक्स हु विल फाइंड फ्लॉज, एंड दैट्स हाउ द गवर्नमेंट फंक्शंस, दैट्स हाउ द जुडिशरी फंक्शंस. इन द एब्सेंस ऑफ अ डिसीजन, बिकॉज उनको चैलेंज किया जा सकता है. इन द एब्सेंस ऑफ अ डिसीजन, हाउएवर, हम किसको चैलेंज करेंगे? हमें पता ही नहीं चैलेंज किसको करना है, क्योंकि एक चैलेंज तो ऑलरेडी पेंडिंग है. सो for obvious reasons, this too has a serious impact on the rule of law. It must be acknowledged that the responsibility for constituting benches and scheduling cases, especially the cases that are due be heard by larger benches, rests solely with the CJI, and the CJI, while the 3 previous CJIs have been criticized for excessive deference to the executive, the current CJI has been on record stressing the importance of the rule of law. Yes, we've seen that. Our CJI is a blunt man. He is a blunt man, certainly. Straightening up all the high courts. So one way of demonstrating, सबसे ज़्यादा किसको, कौन सी high court को straighten up किया हमारी CJI ने? What will you say? Yeah, the infamous Ayushi Talwar case as well. Yes, Ali, those cases as well. Tanu, you don't remember Stan Swamy? Okay, so Karnataka High Court, absolutely, Shubham. कर्नाटका हाई कोर्ट को सबसे ज्यादा स्ट्रेटन किया, आई थिंक कर्नाटका हाई कोर्ट, एब्सोल्युटली. सब इलाहाबाद हाई कोर्ट, कर्नाटका हाई कोर्ट, सबसे ज्यादा स्ट्रेटनिंग इन कोर्ट्स की हुई है बाय आवर सीजेआई. आई लव दिस मैन. वन वे ऑफ डेमोन्स्ट्रेटिंग दैट इन एक्शन might be to hear and decide the important constitutional cases pending before the court. What is the tone of the author, everyone? Karnataka and Allahabad High Court. What's the tone of the author? Yes, exactly. Also, N.V. Ramana supports NLUs a lot. I hope you know that, his point of view. He is in complete support of the functioning, the making of the NLUs. Yes. Okay, be careful with it's analytical and critical. Analytical, critical. Yup, these two tones. Critical, analytical. Acha, 82 people live hai. Why 66 likes? Why? Why? Answer. Yes, Ali. Okay, so critical and analytical. Okay. Acha. Now before I proceed, 12:30 on the BBA channel, part 2 of error spotting. Attend kar lena, theek hai? People who don't know what is the BBA channel, BYJU'S Exam Prep BBA. Search kar lena YouTube pe, you'll find our channel, subscribe kar lena and watch my video. I'll come live at 12:30. 2 क्रैश कोर्स टारगेट कर रहे हो क्लैट 22 का बैच 3 लॉन्च किया है, जल्दी से एनरोल कर लो, बहुत ही कम टाइम है आपके पास, ठीक है। 3 इफ यू हैवंट डाउनलोडेड द ऐप येट, जल्दी से डाउनलोड कर लो, सब्सक्राइब कर लो चैनल को, नहीं किया अभी तक तो। शेयरिंग टुडेज हिंदू एंड इंडियन एक्सप्रेस इन द बैकग्राउंड, हाँ +1 फॉर CJI, ओके। सो शेयरिंग टुडेज हिंदू एंड इंडियन एक्सप्रेस इन द बैकग्राउंड। स्नेहा किस चीज के लिए वाई पूछ रहे हो बेटा? Okay. Sharing today's Hindu and Indian Express in the background, everyone. Give me a second, guys. Yes, here it is. Just a second. Give me a second, guys. Here we go. अब देखते हैं आपके क्वेश्चंस क्या आ रहे हैं, बताइए। थैंक यू माय चाइल्ड सखी, थैंक यू। ओके, ठीक है मैम, प्लीज शो द एक्सप्लेन पार्ट आल्सो। ओके, यस आई विल। चलो लेट्स सी। हिंदू yeah. I'm sure all the newspapers are full of what Elon Musk has done. पढ़ लेना. This is good. Read this. इसको छोड़ देना, okay? Skim. I think मुझे कल एक Aeon आर्टिकल लेना पड़ेगा. It's been a while I've taken one. छोड़ दो. Skim. Skim. You can read this if you don't know what has happened. इसको छोड़ देना, okay? इंडियन एक्सप्रेस, एयन देखते हैं. इंडियन एक्सप्रेस, गार्डियन. This is very nice. This is very nice. Please read this. I love Aeon. I love this website. Bye everyone who's leaving. Okay. Miss, if it's the end of the class, yes, please send me your doubt. What's your doubt? Please send me your doubt. लो फ्रूट्स पिक्चर्स आ जाएंगी, ये देखो। ओके, सो इन्फ्लेशन आरबीआई हैज बीन बिहाइंड द कर्व, स्किम, बुलडोजिंग बिल्कुल नहीं पढ़ना है, जहांगीरपुरी में जो हो रहा है। In the midst of hate, let's not be a defeatist. Yeah, this is a very good one. To achieve a revenue GST scheme, PDS has had a spectacular run. Yeah, scheme. Fictosexuals love and marry fictional characters. I think I'll take this article tomorrow. Common values, shared threat, leave. Inequity, that's all. This is a good one. Please read this. This article is a very good one. Okay? I think I'll take this article tomorrow. Explain part भी देख लेते हैं. Have a good day, everyone who's leaving. Bye, everyone. Who's leaving? Others, let's have a look at the explain part. Leave this article. You can skim through this. Skim. Leave. Yeah, this is a very good one. I might take this as well. Leave this. Skim. Leave this. Okay. That's all, I think. Yeah, that's all. Okay, that's all, everyone. So, Purito, what was your doubt, beta? I'm still waiting for your doubt. Bye, everyone who's leaving. Thank you so much. Have a very good day. Purito, what's your doubt? Hiruto, are you here? Are you listening to me? What's your doubt? Thank you, everyone. Have a very good day. Hiruto doesn't look like to be in the class. Hiruto, I give you a suggestion. Since you aren't responding, if you still are live, I would expect you to post your question under my video on the YouTube channel. If you do that, I'll check your comment and I'll reply to you there as well. Okay? Thank you so much, everyone. Have a very, very good day. God bless you.